Rob Baransky is the owner-manager of Evolution Wonderland, which is a gay bar here in our city, and he joins us now with his thoughts on the tragedy in Orlando. Thank you so much for being here, Rob.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, tell us how you heard about the shooting.
We were closing down on Saturday night after our Pride finale party, as it was Pride Week in the city. All the staff turned back on their phones, and that was the first thing we saw, and at that time the details were still pretty scarce, but as they continued to roll in over that night and then Sunday morning, obviously the shock and the reality of it hit in.
So what did hearing those horrible details as they unfolded, what did that get you thinking and feeling?
Well, obviously, this hits a lot closer to home than many of the other stories of mass shootings that come across the border. This one, a gay bar is a safe space, and it's a sanctuary, and it's where I've spent 17 years of my life working here in Edmonton. And with social media, we're connected to all those victims in a way that I haven't been connected to shootings in the past, and that my friends and colleagues up here haven't been connected to victims in the past. So it's a lot more real.
Mm-hmm. Did it get you thinking about the possibility of something like that ever happening here?
I guess that thought is always there. Luckily, I don't think we have the gun problems that the States do. Obviously, we have violence in Canada. I don't think anyone is going to deny that there is violence and nightclub violence in Canada, but people don't have access to the kind of firearms that they do in the States, which obviously escalates a situation like this extreme.
Mm-hmm. And what about, say, the level of acceptance for the gay and queer community here in Edmonton? How do you think that is?
We just had an amazing Pride Festival here. It was 10 days of events that saw people from all different walks of life, and it's growing in numbers every year. The entire city's getting behind it. There were so many businesses that were supporting it, not just gay businesses, but mainstream straight bars, all having events. And so the community has come together so much over the last couple decades, and I think that's only going to continue to improve. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this has reaffirmed this importance of Pride, so...
Yeah. Do you believe that being gay in Canada is a safer space than being gay in America?
I think being Canadian is safer than being an American.
Okay.
I think a lot of Americans are very accepting of gay people too, and I think more and more people are in that center group that are very accepting. It's just, unfortunately, it's that extreme on the one end that it makes things difficult for everybody else.
Mm-hmm. So, like we mentioned, it happened during Edmonton's Pride Week. What effect do you think something like this, violence like this, has on young people who are maybe just discovering their sexual identity and that sort of thing?
That's actually my biggest concern. I was thinking about how I would have reacted if I had been exposed to something like this when I was 12, 13, dealing with my sexuality and coming out, and that would be a very hard thing to overcome and say, why would I ever want to come out when people hate me so much for being who I am that they just want to kill me? Yeah. Why would I want to put myself through that? And then I just hope that for every image or instance of being exposed to something like that, they're being exposed to dozens more of something positive and affirming and loving.
Mm-hmm. So you don't think that the fear shouldn't take hold here?
The fear can't take hold. If the fear takes hold, then they win.
Yeah. So what is it that you would like to see happen, or maybe something that you're doing yourself to kind of make sure that fear never does take hold?
I think it's just a matter of always continuing to stand up for what's right, to stand up for inclusion, to stand up for diversity, never to let the haters win.
Yeah.
And to not react with hate. Hate will never win out against hate. The only way you can fight it is with love and reaffirming love, and that something positive and wonderful happens in this community.
Yeah.
And not just the LGBT community, the Edmonton community, the Alberta community, the Canadian community. Yeah. We are stronger than the hate and adversity that we're faced with.
Absolutely.
Even when it's horrific like this.
Yeah. Speaking of love, you had a moment of love at the club?
We did.
Okay, tell us exactly what
we did. It was pretty amazing. Now, when we had seen that the shooter was set off by the image of two men kissing, we thought, what better way to fight that than by having many people kissing. So whether they were same sex or opposite sex, whether they were kissing lovers or friends or family members, we got everyone to stand up last night during the drag show that we were having to close Pride Week, and had a moment of love.
I love that. How did it feel to see all that love in the room?
It was pretty wonderful, and the room erupted with some good noise, which I think people needed. Obviously, it had been a long 10 days of celebrating, and then to have that come on the end, it was a pretty emotional day, and people were run pretty ragged emotionally, but this was, I think, the catharsis that everybody needed.
Yeah, I think it's a great positive thing to do.
Absolutely, and especially to end Pride Week on.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here,
Thank
Rob.
you for having me.
Rob Browatsky is the owner-manager of Evolution Wonder Lounge in Edmonton.